The morning sky was dull and gray, the kind of sky that seemed to match how 17-year-old Shannon had been feeling for a while now. She sat at her window, watching raindrops race each other down the glass, her chin resting on her knees. Her beautiful brown hair, thick and wavy, cascaded over her shoulders in soft curls, but she paid it no mind. It hung loose, like it usually did, or sometimes she tied it back into a quick ponytail when it got in the way. Makeup was something she never bothered with. It didn't interest her. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. And besides, she didn't have friends to impress. At school, Shannon felt invisible. People passed her in the halls without a glance, like she wasn't even there. She'd never been the kind of girl to giggle in groups or gossip by lockers. She felt different, like she was floating above it all, looking down at a world that didn't make room for her. Her classmates talked about parties, boyfriends, and makeup tutorials. Shannon thought about music, art, and books that took her to other worlds. She spent her lunch breaks alone under the same old tree in the courtyard, sketching quietly, headphones in. The tree had become her only consistent friend, always there, always silent. Still, the isolation weighed heavily. Her shoulders carried it, her eyes showed it. One evening, after another silent dinner with her mother, Shannon wandered upstairs to the bathroom. She stared at herself in the mirror for a long while, her brown eyes tired and searching. Her reflection felt unfamiliar, like someone else was staring back. Then, suddenly and without much thought, she opened the drawer and took out a pair of scissors. She grabbed a thick strand of her brown hair and chopped it off. It fell into the sink like a leaf drifting in slow motion. She stared at it for a long time, her breath shaky, but feeling something she hadn't in a while. Control. It wasn't much, just a small piece. But it was something, and that feeling lingered. Later that week, Shannon sat on the couch with her sketch pad when she turned to her mother. "I want to dye my hair, something wild, bright blue, maybe." Her mother, a soft-spoken woman named Marian, looked up from her book, brows knitting in surprise. "Shannon," she said gently, "why would you want to do that?" "Because it's mine," Shannon replied, her voice quiet but resolute. "And I don't like it the way it is. I want to feel different. I want to feel something." Marian sighed, closing her book softly. "You have such beautiful hair. Why ruin it?" Shannon didn't answer. Instead, she looked down at her lap, letting the disappointment sink into her like a cold stone dropped into water. A week passed. They didn't talk about hair again until one night, when Shannon turned to her mother while folding laundry. "What would you think if I shaved it all off?" she asked. Marian stopped mid-fold, a towel hanging loosely in her hands. Her eyes widened slightly, not in anger, but in genuine surprise. "Shaved it? All of it?" Shannon nodded. "I think it would be freeing, to just start over." Marian looked at her daughter for a long moment. "I think it would be beautiful," she said finally, "but also a waste." Shannon said nothing more, but the idea nestled deep inside her, like a seed waiting for the right moment to grow. A few days later, Shannon woke up to the sound of birds and sunlight peeking through her curtains. She wandered downstairs to find her mother already dressed, wearing lipstick and a curious smile. "Come on," Marian said, grabbing her bag. "We're going out." Shannon hesitated. "Where?" "It's a surprise. Just wear something comfortable." Shannon pulled on her favorite green rain jacket, soft and familiar. The weather was fair, but she wore it anyway. It made her feel protected, like armor wrapped around her. They walked to the train station in silence, Shannon with her hands tucked into her sleeves trying to decode the mystery. The train arrived with a low rumble, and they boarded. Shannon sat quietly, the rhythmic clatter of the tracks echoing in her mind. Her heart ticked faster with each passing station, nerves mixing with curiosity. She gazed out the window, city buildings giving way to smaller streets and cozy neighborhoods. "Where are we going?" she asked again. Marian just smiled softly, her fingers tapping on her knee. After 30 minutes, they stepped off the train. The air felt fresh. They walked together through quiet streets until they stood in front of a small, stylish barbershop. A warm, amber glow shone from inside. The glass front revealed a sleek black chair, gleaming equipment, and a stylist who looked up and waved with a smile. Shannon stopped in her tracks. Marian gently touched her shoulder. "Today we're doing it, but not just you, both of us." Shannon's eyes widened. "You?" Marian nodded. "We're going bald, together." Shannon's stomach flipped, her breath caught in her throat. Nerves twisted in her gut, but behind them was something else. Excitement. Real, electric excitement. She nodded slowly, taking her mother's hand. Inside, the barber welcomed them warmly. The stylist, a friendly woman named Rosa, offered them both seats. Shannon sat down first. Rosa gently wrapped a crisp white neck strip around her neck, then tied a shiny red PVC barber cape around her shoulders. It crinkled slightly as it settled over her. Shannon looked at herself in the mirror. The green of her rain jacket peeked out from beneath the cape. She looked like someone else already, a new version of herself. Rosa leaned down. "Ready, sweetheart?" Shannon bit her lip. Her heart pounded in her ears. She nodded. The clippers buzzed to life. Rosa moved behind her, gently parting Shannon's thick brown hair. The first swipe of the clippers began at the base of her neck, buzzing upward. Long strands of her beautiful hair fell silently into her lap, the weight of them making the cape sag slightly. The vibration of the clippers against her scalp was strange, ticklish and bold, almost intimate. Shannon watched in wide-eyed wonder as her brown waves disappeared, strip by strip. It was mesmerizing. The cool air kissed her newly exposed skin. With each pass, the world felt lighter. The clippers hummed steadily, and Shannon found her breath sinking with the rhythm. Rosa was careful and kind, guiding the clippers smoothly over her scalp. Shannon's shoulders tensed with every pass, then slowly relaxed. Her hair rained down around her, some catching on the cape, some falling to the black and white tile floor. When the last strands were gone, Rosa switched to a foil razor, carefully gliding it over Shannon's head to remove any remaining stubble. The sensation was surreal. Smooth, clean, fresh. Shannon stared at her reflection. Her head was completely bald. Her cheekbones seemed higher, her eyes brighter. She didn't look like a ghost anymore. She looked like someone brave, someone transformed. Now it was Marian's turn. She stepped into the chair, the same red PVC cape and white neck strip wrapping her in that odd, protective way. Her hands trembled slightly as Rosa secured the cape around her neck. "Are you ready?" Rosa asked. Marian nodded, visibly nervous. Shannon reached out and squeezed her hand. They smiled at each other. Rosa began. The clippers buzzed to life again. Marian's dark blonde hair tumbled down, lock after lock. Shannon watched in awe, witnessing her mother's own transformation. The woman who had always seemed so composed was now letting go, shedding not just hair, but a piece of her past. When the last patch of hair was gone, Rosa smoothed her head with gentle precision. Marian stared at her reflection. Then she smiled, a small smile at first, then a real one. "It feels amazing," she said. They sat side by side in front of the mirror, bald and glowing. Then came the final step. "Let's do it," Marian said. "Let's go blonde." Rosa led them to the back station. Transparent capes were tied around their shoulders. Shannon looked down and saw her smooth scalp glowing under the light. The coolness of the bleach tingled as it was applied evenly across their bare heads. Shannon giggled. "It tickles." Marian laughed. "It really does." They sat together in quiet joy as the dye processed, the scent of bleach mingling with the soft hum of the salon. Rosa chatted lightly, and time passed like a dream. They looked at each other often, giggling like best friends. When Rosa rinsed the dye and gently dried their now platinum blonde heads, they couldn't stop smiling. Shannon reached up and touched her smooth scalp. They stepped outside, the late afternoon sun casting golden light across the street. The clouds had cleared. Shannon's green rain jacket caught the breeze, and her bald head shimmered like polished glass. "Thank you," she whispered. Marion beamed. "Thank you for taking me with you." They walked hand in hand to the train station, two bald blondes with gleaming scalps and hearts full of something new: confidence, joy, freedom, and the deep, unbreakable bond of shared transformation. The world looked different now, but maybe it had always been the same. Maybe it was they who had changed. Maybe they were finally ready to be seen,